Hey everyone. You know, I was reading the review on teenagemutantninjaturtles.com. On teenagemutantninjaturtles.com. I was reading the review, and one of the questions that the reviewer had is basically what's up with the mutagen? Why is it, with the exception of the turtles and maybe Mutagen Man or something like that, maybe not Mutagen Man, but still, basically the question they have is what's up with the mutagen lately, especially in not only the second season but elsewhere, and I think even the season one, but like I said, everywhere else. The question they have is what's up with the mutagen? What's up with the mutagen in the series? Because basically they're asking the question, basically they're pointing out the question that every time the mutagen has been used on an animal or has been used on a person, mutating them into some kind of animal or mixing whatever, that it turns them evil. It automatically turns them evil. It turns them into a freak, if you will, but turns them, basically warps their minds and turns them evil or demented. They ask the question, what is up with that? And, that's a question I ask too, what's up with that? Because I know in the original cartoon, that when anybody got mutated, whether it was through the ooze, radioactivity, aka Mona Lisa, or whatever, that they didn't turn out evil unless they were already evil. They weren't evil or anything. Instead, they were good. And they were just confused. They were mixed up. Now, some might argue that in this series, in the 2K13 series, the 2K12, 2K13 series, that the reason the turtles weren't as effective or weren't as affected is because they were pretty much mutated and they grew up like regular kids into teenagers. They were raised right. They were raised correctly. And, a lot of people, when they look at that and then they look at what's going on with the other mutants and stuff, they're wondering what's going on. And here's the thing. I think, the mutagen here is exactly what a lot of people are looking at. It's not too magical. First of all, it's not magical. Yeah, it looks like it's magic. It's like anything it hits, it mutates or changes. But it's not magical. It's none of that. What it is, basically, it's a plot device. Basically, it's a plot device that whether I like to admit it or not, or any other longtime hardcore fan likes to admit it or not, that watches the series or watches it off and on. The thing about about the mutagen in this series is it's a plot device. It's a plot device that's building, like I said, as much as I may hate to admit it, building to something bigger down the line. It's building to something bigger and bigger. It's basically it's building up to this huge climax of a finale, either mid-season or complete second season finale. It's building towards it. It's building towards it. It's like, okay, when you get to the mid-season finale, you're going to have some kind of clue of exactly what direction the storyline is going to take due to the mutagen. You are. You're going to have some kind of idea, some kind of direction of where it's going to go. Believe me, I know that sounds crazy, but that's exactly what the mutagen is in this series. It's a plot device. True, it doesn't get used all the time. It doesn't. True, it doesn't get used all the time in the episodes, as some people might say it does. From what I've seen and heard, it doesn't get used all the time. I mean, last week's episode of Target April O'Neil didn't use it. The mutagen wasn't a plot device. It wasn't used as a plot device there, and yet it's being used again recently this past weekend with Slash and Destroy. So again, you wonder, so again, anybody that's wondering what's up with the mutagen in this series, it's a plot device. And again, I mentioned this before in my audio, video, as well as my text. When I typed this up, this series, the creators for the series are doing a few good things. And one of the good things that they are doing, whether anybody likes to admit it or not, is they're not really forcing the mutagen situation down our throats that much. True, at times, like at the beginning of the season and all that, it may have seemed just like that. It may have seemed that they were doing just that. They were forcing it down our throats. But I think as the series progresses, hopefully they're not going to do it. They're only going to bring it back when it's necessary. And thus, by doing so, it's going to build some of the newer fans, some of the longtime hardcore fans that are interested in the series. It's going to build their anticipation. It's going to build their anticipation to want to see where it goes next, and that to when the mutagen is going to show up next, and who it's going to affect. And because of that anticipation and waiting, hopefully, of when it's going to show up and be used next as a plot device, it helps build to whatever major climax they got coming at the end of season 2 or at the end of the first half of season 2. That's what it's leading towards. And again, this also reiterates my question. The question I had was, and of course this also reiterates and goes back to my question of, will April be mutated / transformed in this series? Will she be mutated? Even if it's temporary or not, will she get affected? And if the mutagen is a plot device that'll be used every now and then, maybe 2 weeks in a row, maybe once every week, then after that or whatever, sooner or later that there's a possibility that April will be involved in that plot device involving the mutagen, and that it's going to affect her in some way. It will. Or it's going to affect one of her friends. You see, we've been hearing rumors that possibly we could be seeing people like Irma, maybe, her incarnation, her 2K14 incarnation, show up in this series. As a teenager, we've been hearing that. We've been hearing about we've been hearing about Vern or something like that. But Irma's name has been brought up a lot too as a possibility, especially with that little, what was it, Easter egg, if you will, that little cameo by name Easter egg of her name showing up on April's cell device in the first season. So we know that she's probably bound to show up. And that's where the mutagen could play into effect as well. But this is what could happen, though. This is what could happen. This is what could happen. Either April will be affected by the mutagen only temporarily, which would, I guess, would pay homage to her first, pay homage to the original series of when she first got mutated, and it's up to Irma to let the Turtles know what's going on. Or Irma gets mutated. Now, here's where fans have kind of wondered, how Irma would be introduced, or even how another fan favorite, Mona Lisa, that I mentioned earlier, would be introduced. And a lot of fans have felt that Irma could be introduced into the series in the second season, and that thanks to the mutagen, she can end up being mutated into who would become Mona Lisa. And there you would go. Mona Lisa would be the mutated version of Irma. That's what I'm thinking. Because it's also kind of ironic that anytime somebody gets mutated, whether it's animal or person, they give themselves a new name. Like with Dog Pound, he was given the name of Razor. Or Razar, basically paying homage to the Razar character of Ninja Turtles 2, the live-action film, and of course what we've seen in the past. So he was given the name of Razar. And then, of course, recently with Spike, Raphael's turtle, he gets mutated, and he changes his name to Slash. The thing is, folks, this is basically all. Basically, this all is part of how the mutagen is basically a plot device and how it's building towards probably something bigger at the end of the season, at the end of the second season, or at least at the end of the first half of the second season. And there's a possibility, just my opinion, because some people have even talked about this, that Irma, if she gets introduced in the series as April's best friend, could get affected by the mutagen, and she could end up being mutated into Mona Lisa. Now, you might say, well, if she gets affected by the mutagen and turns into Mona Lisa, she could turn evil. No, in this show, they'll turn her evil. No, they won't. You see, because if they have any respect for the original source material and seeing the fans' love for this character, she'll probably be one of those rare cases to where she'll get mutated, but she'll turn out good. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. But that basically, to me, if Irma gets introduced into the series, in the second season, could be part of the whole mutagen being the plot device that builds to something bigger at the end of the second season, or at least at the end of the first half of the second season. And again, the same with April. Even if it's temporary with April, she gets mutated or something, it's all part of the plot device. It's all part of building towards something bigger at the end. You know what I'm saying? So, again, that's what's up with the mutagen in 2K13. In the 2K, in Nick's, and basically in the 2K13 version of the Turtles. That's what's up with the mutagen. The fact that it's used as a plot device every time it shows up, or every now and then when it shows up, to help build to something bigger, and especially help build to a bigger climax at the end of the second season, or at least build to something that's really going to get built up even bigger towards the second season finale, but build slowly to like something that's going to climax and kind of leave you wanting more in the second half of the second season at the end of the first half. So that's basically what's up with the mutagen in 2K in the 2K12-13 Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon. So that's all I'm going to say on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to you all later.